I'm Joanna McMillan. I'm 67 years old, a retired business owner, and for the first time in my life, I walked into a Mother's Day celebration knowing exactly where I stood in my daughter's world, and it wasn't at the head of the table. The invitation had come late. Sabrina had called the night before, her tone stiff and impersonal. "We're having brunch at Denise's house, 1 o'clock. You should come." Not an invitation, an obligation. I arrived exactly on time. The driveway in Lakehurst Heights was packed with luxury SUVs. From the walkway, I heard laughter rising from the backyard. Unforced, familiar. I stepped through the gate with a homemade lemon tart in hand. Sabrina sat beside her mother-in-law, heads close, whispering and laughing. Aaron was by the grill, sleeves rolled, looking every bit the doting son Denise deserved. Her friends sipped wine under string lights. Everyone belonged. Denise saw me first. Her smile was smooth, practiced. "Joanna, so glad you could make it." Sabrina looked up, blinked like she'd forgotten I was coming, then nodded toward the end of the table. "Hey, Mom, you can sit over there." So I did, next to the hose reel and an empty plate. The gift exchange started after dessert. Sabrina stood, eyes shining. "Denise, we got you something special." Aaron brought over a velvet box, a diamond ring. Then came an envelope, 2 weeks in the Mediterranean. Denise gasped, teared up. Everyone clapped. Then Aaron reached beneath the table and pulled out a small wrinkled gift bag. "For Joanna," he said. "From both of us." Inside, a plastic flower, a generic card with a crooked sticker. "Happy Mother's Day." No one spoke. That's when it hit me, not the gift, but what it meant. I wasn't family. I was a duty. I didn't say anything that day. I smiled. I nodded. I told Sabrina the plastic flower was lovely, and I left when the sun dipped low enough that no one would question me. But later that night, I opened the drawer in my home office, the one I hadn't touched in months. It stuck, as always, but gave way with a familiar creak. Inside were file boxes, meticulously labeled and color-coded, exactly how Harold used to tease me for. "You could build a courtroom case out of our grocery receipts," he used to say. He wasn't wrong. I pulled out the first folder, marked Sabrina, College. The numbers hit me harder than I expected. 4 years of private tuition, housing, textbooks, meal plans, and the Honda I bought her junior year when her old car died. It totaled nearly $50,000. All paid quietly, never questioned. Because I loved her. Because that's what mothers do, at least, that's what I thought. Then came the wedding file. I remembered her face when we toured the venue, how she held my arm when she saw the cathedral ceilings, the catering, the custom dress, the band she just had to have. I'd written every check, nearly $60,000. Aaron's family had brought wine. That was their contribution. I didn't feel angry. Not yet. Just hollow. Like I was watching my life from outside the glass, tallying up choices I never questioned. And for the first time, I asked myself something dangerous. What exactly had I been paying for all these years? The next folder was thicker. Mortgage and loans. I didn't need to open it to know what I'd find. When Sabrina and Aaron bought their house in Lakehurst Heights, their combined income wasn't enough to qualify. Sabrina had cried on the phone, soft, shaky tears I used to fall for. I'd co-signed without hesitation, then quietly covered the first 6 months of payments when Aaron's business hit turbulence. They never knew. I made sure of it. That felt like love at the time. But love doesn't look like a monthly withdrawal you don't talk about. Then came the vehicle files. 1 car for Sabrina, 1 truck for Aaron, and 1 minivan they just needed temporarily when the twins were born. I paid them off slowly, folding each loan into my business expenses as if they were marketing write-offs. But they weren't. They were Band-Aids over a wound I hadn't wanted to name. I found a yellowed receipt buried beneath utility statements. It was from 2019, an $87,000 wire transfer. Sabrina had called in tears. Aaron's landscaping company was collapsing under bad contracts and worse planning. She said they'd lose everything. I didn't ask questions. I made the transfer that day. 6 months later, they bought a boat. I remember the Instagram post, smiling on the dock. "Work hard, play harder," the caption read. I stared at that receipt now like it had been forged by someone else. Like I hadn't been the one who said yes, over and over again, without asking anything in return. The deeper I dug, the more I realized I wasn't just supporting them, I was embedded in every corner of their lives. My business account, Summit Ridge Solutions, was paying Aaron's landscaping company to service 3 of my properties. I was billed monthly, always slightly above market rate. I never negotiated, never questioned the invoices, just paid, because it was family. Sabrina's name showed up on the books, too. I'd referred her as a freelance bookkeeper to several small clients. Easy work, soft expectations. She earned $1,200 a month for doing what someone else would have charged half that for and done twice as fast. I didn't mind it, not then. I thought I was helping them build stability. What I was really doing was propping up a version of their adulthood they hadn't earned. And somewhere along the way, I became invisible in the process. I pulled up my text history with Sabrina from the past year. Every message was a request. "Can you send the check early this month? Aaron needs to borrow the truck. Do you have any open slots for new clients? The twins need new laptops. Can you help? Not once. How are you, Mom? Not once. Thinking of you today. Not even on the anniversary of Harold's passing. They saw me as reliable, but not as someone worth noticing. That was the hardest truth to swallow. The next morning, I dialed Cynthia Abrams. She'd been my attorney for over a decade, sharp, discreet, never the type to ask questions she didn't need answers to. When I said, "Can we meet today?" she cleared her schedule. Her office overlooked the town green, the kind of New England postcard view that used to soothe me. But that day, I felt only tension. Tension and purpose. We sat across from each other, a pot of mint tea steeping between us. "I want to sell Summit Ridge," I said. Cynthia blinked, but only once. "That's a big move." "I know. You've spent 30 years building that company." "Exactly. I built it. I should decide when to step away." She leaned forward slightly. "Tell me what's prompting this." So I told her. Not about the flower, but about the history. The mortgage, the cars, the contracts, the invoices, the silence. Every thread that tied my financial life to my emotional disappointment. She listened carefully, nodding at key points, scribbling notes with her usual precision. "If you move forward," she said finally, "Aaron loses 3 contracts. Sabrina loses referral clients. They'll need to qualify on their own for that house. Are you ready for that fallout?" I didn't hesitate. I don't know if my daughter loves me or just the safety net I provide, and the only way to find out is to remove it. Cynthia looked at me with something close to respect. "You don't want a slow exit, do you?" "No," I said. "I want clean, quiet, immediate." I didn't start with an announcement. That would have triggered panic. Instead, I started with the quiet things, the kinds of changes no one notices until they snowball. I contacted the property manager for my downtown building and asked them to begin collecting competitive bids for landscaping. I framed it as a cost-efficiency review. Nothing personal. No warning to Aaron. 2 days later, he called. "Joanna, hey, it's Aaron. I heard you're shopping new bids? Everything okay with the service?" "It's fine," I said. "Just reviewing expenses. We can adjust our rates if needed. Bundle some services. Maybe throw in spring cleanup." "It's not about the money," I said. "I just want options." He paused. "We've been handling this for years. I thought we had trust." I kept my tone neutral. Trust isn't the issue. Routine is. Next came the clients. I reached out to the 5 small businesses where Sabrina handled monthly bookkeeping. I told them I'd be phasing out personal referrals by end of quarter. It was a standard business update. Efficient. Unemotional. Sabrina noticed immediately. She called that night, her voice tense. "Mom, did you tell Mrs. Lambert to find another bookkeeper?" I told all my clients that I'm stepping back from referrals. "But I need those. That's my income." "You're good at what you do. You'll find others." There was a long pause. One I didn't fill. It was the first time she sounded uncertain, not entitled. Not annoyed, just unsteady. It didn't take long for the silence to turn into noise. 3 weeks into my quiet changes, I got a voicemail from Aaron. "Hey, Joanna. Someone at the chamber said you might be selling Summit Ridge. That can't be right, can it?" I didn't return the call. Instead, I spent the afternoon finalizing documentation with Cynthia. The buyer was a larger consulting firm looking to expand regionally. They wanted a clean handoff, no loose ties, just like I did. That evening, Sabrina showed up at my door. No call ahead, no knock, just the front door creaking open and the sound of her voice in the hallway. "Mom?" I met her in the living room. She looked smaller than I remembered, old sweatshirt, no makeup, eyes red around the edges. "Is it true?" she asked. "Are you selling the business?" I didn't deny it. "Why?" she demanded. "Why now? Why without telling me?" "Because it's mine to sell," I said, "and I don't owe anyone a reason." She stared at me like I'd slapped her. "But this affects everything. My work, Aaron's income, the house. All of which depend on me. Don't you think that's the problem?" Her voice cracked. "So you're just cutting us off?" "I'm stepping back, so you can step up." There was silence between us, thick and long. Then she asked it, low and trembling. "Is this about Mother's Day?" I smiled, just a little. That was just the day I stopped ignoring the truth. The next day, I got a call at Cynthia's office, a number I didn't recognize. "Mrs. McMillan," a man said cheerfully. "This is James Morrison from Eastwood and company, just confirming the sale details your assistant provided this morning." I blinked. "My assistant?" "Yes," she answered your home line. "Said she could speak on your behalf. Only one person had the key to my house. Only one person would assume they had that kind of access. Please route all communication through my attorney from now on," I said, then hung up. I drove home faster than I should have. Sabrina's car was already in the driveway. The front door was unlocked. My office light was on. She sat at my desk, surrounded by printouts, contracts, and pending sale documents. She looked up when I entered, caught, but not sorry. "Not yet. I was looking for old tax forms," she said quickly. "Aaron thought, you're not my assistant." "I didn't mean—" "You answered my phone, pretended to speak for me. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a line you crossed." She opened her mouth, closed it. "You're really selling it?" she said, quieter now. "I am." "You're doing this to punish us." "No," I said. "I'm doing this to stop protecting people who think they're entitled to my life." She looked stunned, as if the boundaries she never respected were finally becoming real. The following morning, my phone rang before I'd finished my tea. "Aaron." I considered ignoring it, but curiosity won out. I answered. "Joanna," he began, voice tight and rehearsed. "I think we need to talk. The business sale, you know this affects the whole family, right?" I said nothing. "Sabrina's losing her clients. My contracts are up in the air. The house—" "You've said that already," I replied calmly. "Several times. We just don't understand why you'd pull the rug out from under us like this." "You mean why I stopped carrying you?" "That's not fair," he snapped. "No, Aaron. What's not fair is you treating me like a business partner when it's convenient, and like a cash machine the rest of the time." A long pause. Then, softly, "You raised Sabrina to be strong. I raised her to be responsible. That's different." He shifted tactics. "If this is about the Mother's Day thing—" "It's not. Then what do you want?" "I want my life back. And I want both of you to build your own." He started to say something else, but I cut him off. "This call is over, Aaron. Going forward, all business inquiries go through my attorney. And personal ones? Well, we'll see if there's anything left for those." I hung up. The silence that followed didn't feel empty. It felt earned. They showed up on a Saturday afternoon. I watched them from the window as they climbed the porch steps, Sabrina's face blotchy from crying. Aaron's jaw clenched like he was preparing for a boardroom negotiation. I opened the door, but didn't move aside. "Mom?" Sabrina started. "We need to talk. Please." "We tried that," I said. "You broke into my office. You impersonated me. You had your chance to talk." Aaron stepped in. "Joanna, with all due respect, this affects our whole family." "So does enabling. We have a mortgage. Kids. A life we've built around this support." "Exactly," I said. "You built a life on something that was never meant to be permanent." Sabrina's voice cracked. "We didn't mean to take advantage of you." I looked at her. "Then why did you only call when you needed something?" She blinked. Aaron looked away. "When did you last ask how I was doing? Or how I've been since your father died? You visit on holidays. You send generic cards. And then you cry when the checks stop coming. We were busy. You made time for a cruise and a ring. Not for me." Sabrina's shoulders sagged. "What do you want from me?" I softened. Just slightly. "I want you to grow up. I want you to stop treating love like a paycheck." She started crying again, real and quiet. "I love you, Mom." "I know," I said, "but love without action is just noise." The three of us stood on the porch, the weight of 30 years pressing between us. Aaron shifted uncomfortably. "So that's it? You're just walking away?" "I'm not walking away," I said. "I'm stepping out of the role you forced me into." Sabrina wiped her face. "We didn't force. You didn't ask. That was the difference. You assumed." She looked down, then back up. "So what now?" "Now?" I said. "You figure out who you are without me as your safety net." She was quiet for a long moment. Then softly, "If I do that, if I get it together, will you come back?" I shook my head. "I'm not doing this to test you. I'm doing this to free myself. Whether you grow from it or not, that's your work." Her mouth opened, then closed. Aaron finally spoke. "People will say this is cruel, that you abandoned your family." "Let them," I said. "They weren't the ones I was writing checks to while crying myself to sleep." Sabrina took a small step forward. "Mom, I really do love you." "I believe you," I said. "But love without responsibility is just dependency." She nodded, swallowing hard. "Is there anything I can do now?" she asked. I gave her a tired smile. "You can start by not calling tomorrow. Start by sitting with what this really means." 3 months later, I was sitting on the porch of my new cottage in northern Vermont, watching the lake shimmer beneath a soft morning fog. It was quiet here. Honest quiet. Not the kind that feels like being forgotten, but the kind that gives you room to breathe. The company was sold. The accounts closed. I kept only what mattered: Harold's books, a few photographs, and the quilt my mother made when Sabrina was born. The rest stayed in storage. I had joined a book club, signed up for a pottery class, walked every morning with a neighbor named Grace who had 3 grandkids and a sharp sense of humor. Life didn't feel dramatic anymore. It felt mine. Then, one afternoon, a letter arrived. Real envelope. Handwritten. No return address, but I knew the handwriting. "Dear Mom, I've tried to write this a dozen times. Every version felt like an excuse. So here's the truth. I didn't see you. I saw what you gave me, what you fixed, what you carried. But I didn't see you. And I'm sorry." Aaron and I separated. I'm working at the school part-time. It's not glamorous, but it's honest. I bought groceries with money I earned last week, and I nearly cried at checkout. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know I finally get it. I read it twice, then folded it, placed it beside my tea, and stared out at the water. I didn't write back. Not yet. Some things need time, and space, and silence. But for the first time in years, I wasn't waiting. I was living.